Now, good morning, friends. We will be starting with a fast track batch for the students who will be writing their examination in May 26, then September 26, and January 27. And as I told you in relation to direct tax laws, DTL, it is one of the vastest subject, most difficult subject. Vast law is there. We will be discussing each and every aspect here, though it's a fast track batch. So, we will be starting with our discussion. First of all, you must understand that these attempts are now the last attempts. Otherwise, you have to do the entire law again, because Income Tax Act 2025 will be applicable for the students who will be writing their examination in May 27. So, make sure that you have to definitely pass the examination within these 3 attempts which are made available for you. Okay? Planning must be such that in the first attempt itself, whenever you schedule your attempt, you pass the exam. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult to remember everything new section wise. A lot of amendments, lot of changes is there. So, fundamentals change is there, that sections remain, section changes. Then, each and every aspect you have to remember again. So, this subject, basically we are dealing with the direct taxes, which is here income tax part is there. You already studied in your intermediate examination, and international taxation is also there. International taxation is there. And as you are aware that we will be having subjective paper of 70 marks and multiple choice questions are there. MCQs are there. 30 marks MCQs, which consists of case scenario based MCQs, and individual MCQs are also there. So, relating to the multiple choice questions, basically they are not very easy. They are framed in such a manner that you think this is the answer, but actually that is not the answer. So, we have to have a conceptual understanding of the subject to typically answer all those multiple choice questions correctly. And so, don't feel, depressed or something like that while attempting the paper. Your confidence must be there. And, it is stepwise marking. So, each step, if it is correct, though your entire answer may not be correct, some steps may be wrong, but you will be scoring marks. So, what student thinks, I am not able to answer this particular question, is leaving that. Don't do that. Try to solve the paper and make a habit to write in a notebook. Make a habit of writing the same in a notebook. Whatever questions you are attempting at home, do not audit the same. Write the same in the notebook. So your writing abilities are very, very important, because straight away if you go in there, then you will not be able to perform well. So write from the very beginning, make your notes and write all the answers which you are attempting. So it may take some more time, but the thing is, this time which you are devoting here, it will be very, very helpful at a time of examination. you will be feeling confident enough while attempting the paper. So, this is just a brief overview which I am telling. Now we'll beginning with the first chapter is a very simple chapter, basic concepts which you already discussed about the same under in the when you have passed the intermediate examination. But students who are writing intermediate examination in that particular circumstance, the thing is they must understand the concepts very clearly. Okay. So let us start with it. That is basic concepts under the income tax law. Let us start with basic concepts under the income tax law. So as you are aware, the power to levy income tax vests with the central government. It is central government's union list. It has been given in union list entry 82. It is entry 82 of the union list which deals with taxes on income other than the agriculture income. Taxes on income other than what? The agriculture income. It's central government's power to levy taxes on income. Basically, entry 82 of the union list is there, which provides for the same. Agricultural income, state list. Other than agricultural income, central government. And when authority has been given to central government has framed. One is the Income Tax Act 1961. Relating to the procedural compliances, we are having Income Tax Rules 1962. We are having circulars and notifications, judicial decisions, and the Annual Finance Act. These are basic components of the income tax law, that is Income Tax Act 1961, Income Tax Rules 1962, circulars and notifications, judicial decisions, and Annual Finance Act. So, Income Tax Act 1961, Rules 1962, circulars and notifications were issued by CBDT, judicial decisions where the Supreme Court analyzes the law, Annual Finance Act where the amendments are made every year in the Income Tax Act, that is Annual Finance Act. They are together, they are known as the body of income tax law. As you are aware that income tax is charged for every assessment year. Income tax is charged for every assessment year. It is charged on the total income of a person. Total income is to be computed as per the normal provisions of the Act, and the tax is charged at the rates which have been prescribed by the Finance Act. Besides this, here you are required to pay advance tax, and there is a tax deduction and tax correction at source also. So income tax is charged for in assessment year at the rates prescribed by Finance Act on the total income of every person for the previous year computed in accordance with the provisions of the Act. Income tax shall be deducted at source or paid in advance where it is so deductible or payable under the provisions of the Act. Then relating to the amendments which are made under the Income Tax Act, if it is relating to levy of tax, then the law as amended as on 1st April of every year is applicable for assessment of that year. So if it's assessment year 26-27, financial year is 25-26, so the law as amended on 1st of April 26 will apply for assessment of that particular year. Then in case if say the government is making amendment which is effective from 1st of October, then in that particular circumstance, that amendment will be effective from a particular date that will be applicable for the transactions or events which occurs after this particular date. With respect to procedural compliances, the amendment is effective from the date when the amendment is introduced, and the same will be applicable for all the pending proceedings. And retrospective amendment will be applicable from the retrospective date so specified in the amendment, and it will apply to all the pending proceedings. Okay. Now, as we are saying that income tax is charged for assessment year, and it is charged on total income earned by a person. Now, who is a person? The term person is defined under section 2 clause 31. The term person is defined in section 2 clause 31. Basically, person includes individual, Hindu undivided family, partnership firm, company, AOP, BOI, local authority, and every other artificial juridical person. So person includes what? individual, HUF, partnership firm. Partnership firm here also includes limited liability partnership. Company, AOP, BOI, local authority and every other artificial juridical person. They are coming under the ambit of term person. Then we come to here if it is person. Now, every person will not be liable to pay the tax. Say Mr. X is there and his total income does not exceed the threshold limit of rupees 4 lakhs. Then in that particular circumstance, he is not liable to pay the tax. He won't be filing any return of income and he won't be required to furnish any return of income and he will be not an assessee. He is a person but he is not an assessee. Assessee basically means any person by whom any tax or any other sum of money is payable under the Act. Assessee basically means any person by whom any tax or any other sum of money is payable under the Act and includes every person in respect of whom proceedings have been undertaken under the Act in respect of his income or income of any other person in respect of which he is assessable. Say notices have been issued by the department to him or to any other person for whom he is acting as a representative assessee, or notices have been issued for determination of loss which has been sustained by him or any other person, amount of refund due to him or any other person. So these are the deemed assessee. They will also be coming under the ambit of assessee. Still, no tax or any other sum of money is payable, but proceedings have been undertaken to do the same. Then every person who is deemed to be assessee in default. In case you are required to comply with the provisions of the Act, you are required to deduct tax at source, but you do not deduct tax at source, then you will be regarded as what? Assessee in default. So every person who is deemed to be assessee in default under the provisions of the Act or who has failed to comply with the provisions of the Act basically is assessee in default. Then we come to assessment year. Assessment year, because tax is, income tax is charged for every assessment year. So if it's assessment year 26-27, it will start with 1st of April 26 and end with 31st of March 27. And end with 31st of March 27. And year, assessment year basically means a period of 12 months, beginning with 1st of April every year and ending with 31st of March. Income earned in the previous year is chargeable to tax in the assessment year. Income earned in the previous year is chargeable to tax in the assessment year. Now what previous year means? Previous year means financial year immediately preceding the assessment year. Previous year is what? Financial year immediately preceding the assessment year. So if your assessment year is 26-27, your previous year will be 25-20. Whatever income you are earning from 1/4/2025 to 31st of March 26, you will be liable to pay the tax in relation to the same in assessment year 26-27. The previous year is financial year immediately preceding the assessment year. Now, it may be possibility relating to previous year in case of say newly set up business or profession or say new source of income coming into existence. So in case if you are setting up new business or profession or new source of income is coming into existence, the previous year will commence from the date of setting up of business or profession or the date when the new source of income comes into existence and end with what? 31st of March and end with 31st of March. So it may be a possibility that assessment year will always be a period of 12 months, but previous year may be less than 12 months also. If you start your business on 14th of February, then your previous year commences from 14th of February and with 31st of March 26. Whatever you are earned during this phase, the same will be chargeable tax in the assessment year 26-27. Okay. Now previous year basically is a period of 12 months, maybe 12, maybe less than 12. It's a financial year immediately preceding the assessment year. Whatever income is earned in the previous year is chargeable to tax in the next year, that is the assessment year. This is known as the previous year rule. Now there are certain exceptions to the previous year rule where the income earned in the year is chargeable to tax in the same year rather than the next year. This is also a case of accelerated assessment. They won't be waiting for the next year. First is a case of non-residents engaged in shipping business. Non-residents engaged in shipping business. Basically here, what happens is they are coming from outside India, they are non-residents, they are coming, they are engaged in shipping, and then they take out the goods, passengers, mails and livestock out of India. Okay, they won't be waiting here. So here basically 7.5% of the amount collected on account of freight in respect of goods, passengers, mail or livestock which is shipped at any port in India, whether same is received in India or outside India. Whatever amount is there on account of carriage of goods, passengers, mails and livestock, that will be 7.5% of the same would be regarded as what? The total income. And they will be required to pay the tax. They will be required to pay the tax on that income. Then only they will be given the departure certificate. So basically they won't be waiting for the next year. Next is assessment of persons who are leaving India. In case if any individual is leaving India and his intention is not to return back to India, then the department won't be waiting for the next, whenever he will return, then we will make the assessment. That's not the case. Here, before his departure, what is the probable date of departure? Whatever income he is earning for that tax period, as well as for the preceding year, he has to furnish the return, he has to pay the tax, and then only he will be given the tax clearance. So here also, the income which is earned here is taxed in the same year. Then it is what? Assessment of the AOP, BOI or artificial judicial person found for say particular event or purpose. If the AOP, BOI or AJP has been found for a particular event or purpose and the same is likely to be resolved in the year of formation or shortly thereafter its expiry, then the income earned will be chargeable to tax in the same year. They won't be waiting for the next year. Similarly, if any person is likely to transfer the property with a view to avoid tax, his intention is tax won't be recovered, therefore he is transferring his property. So he is gifting, he is disposing of, he is creating a charge in that particular circumstance. What happens is they won't be waiting for the next year, they would be taxing the same in the year itself. That is the fourth. In these four cases, it is mandatory on the part of the AO to make the assessment in the year in which the income is earned. It is mandatory on the part of the AO to make the assessment in the year in which the income is earned, but in case of discontinued business. They won't be waiting. They may make the assessment in the year in which the income is earned or in the next year. So we have to give a notice of discontinuance to the department, and then it is up to their choice that they make the assessment in the year in which the income is earned or in the next year. So basically these are logical exceptions, say non-residents which are engaged in shipping business, person who is leaving India with an intention of not returning back to India. If AOP, BOI or AJP has been found for short duration and purpose and it's likely to be dissolved in the year of formation or shortly thereafter its expiry, the income which is earned during that period will be chargeable to tax in the same year rather than next year. And last one is persons likely to transfer the property with a view to avoid the tax. So these are the exceptions here, so which we have discussed. So that is about our basically this discussion relating to the exceptions to the charging section.